Hi friends, welcome back to my astrology channel, the Saffron Box. And today I shall be talking about Rahu and Ketu. What are Rahu and Ketu? What do they stand for? What do they mean? And how did they come into being? What is the story of Rahu and Ketu? Right? And also what is the importance of Rahu? Because Rahu and Ketu are important planets as well. Right, and we shall also walk through the various placements. What happens if Rahu is placed in a certain house of your chart? How does it impact you? Alright, so in this series, today in this first video in the series, I shall be talking about the story of Rahu and Ketu. How did they come into being? What is their story? How did we actually start talking about Rahu and Ketu? Right? Actually, if you see, Rahu and Ketu are not real planets also. Right? So, but before we begin, let me just remind you to subscribe to my channel by pressing the subscribe button, which is right under your screen on the right hand side. Right? So do subscribe and share the content, and you shall get regular notifications and updates as well. Right? So, what are Rahu and Ketu doing? Rahu and Ketu are actually not real planets, as I said. They are imaginary points. Okay? When the moon crosses the ecliptic path as in Ravi mark, the path of the sun. When the moon crosses the ecliptic path going upwards towards the north, the point of intersection is Rahu. It's called Rahu, or the north node of the moon. And when it travels again southwards, the point again where the intersection happens is called the south node, or Ketu. Okay, so Rahu and Ketu are nothing but intersection points. And what do they have to do with, this? Rahu and Ketu actually come into existence because of the luminaries, because only when the intersection happens does this point come into existence, right? So they have to do all with sun and the moon. So that is about Rahu and Ketu as such. But there are stories about Rahu and Ketu. There are stories in our mythology. There are stories in other systems as well. Even the Western astrology talks about certain stories. There are other civilizations, there are other inputs about Rahu and Ketu. Okay, or in Western astrology we call them the dragon's head and the dragon's tail, and that's what they are actually. Right, so there are various stories which are there, and the ancient stories which have the maximum input, the source which has the maximum stuff on Rahu and Ketu is in the Vedic or the ancient books, the Vedic texts. So there's a lot of mention of Rahu and Ketu there. Okay, and how did Rahu and Ketu come into existence? Is they came into existence because of the tiff between the gods and the demons. Okay, so as always happens, has been happening, and will always keep happening, the good and the bad always fight each other out, right? Similarly, the gods and demons had a tiff, and it went to a point where they decided to share things, to churn things out, and they actually physically came down to churning the ocean, churning the Shir Sagar, ocean of milk. Okay, and they wanted to see what comes out and divide amongst themselves, right? So the churn happened, churning of the ocean, and on one side were the gods, and on the other side were the asuras, or the demons. So it was a battle between the devas and the asuras. Okay, and the churn started happening. The serpent Vasuki was used as the cord, as the rope, to churn the ocean. Okay, and Mount Mandar was used as the stick to move the churn, move the cord, and the base of the churn was the Kurma avatar of Vishnu. the tortoise avatar. Okay, so the churn was happening, and the first thing which came out was a very deadly poison called halahal. And obviously, being poison, nobody wanted to touch it, the gods and demons alike. So they requested Lord Shiva to handle it, because Lord Shiva is the the most powerful god in the Holy Trinity. Right, so Lord Shiva consumed the deadly poison called halahal, and once he consumed it, it was there. He was named Neelkant after consuming the poison, because his throat became all blue because of the poison going in. Right, so Lord Shiva consumed the poison, and thereafter 14 things came out of the entire churning of Shir Sagar. And to name a few, there was Kamadhenu, the sacred cow, there was Kalpavriksha, there was Dhanvantri, who brought Ayurveda. There were the flowers of Parijat. Parijat flowers are supposed to be, non-wilting flowers. Those who never, the flowers which never wilt down, and they remain young forever. Then there was Dhanvantri, as I mentioned, and among the other things, lastly came the most awaited pot of nectar, or Amrit. Right? So Amrit was awaited by the gods and the demons alike. And once it came out, there was again an argument as to who will consume the pot of nectar, or the Amrit. So Lord Vishnu intervened, and he got disguised in the form of a very beautiful lady called Mohini, and the gods and demons both were equally enchanted. They were totally floored by the watching that beautiful lady. And Mohini comes and says, okay, give me the pot of nectar and I shall distribute it to everyone. So everybody needs to sit down, the nectar will be distributed. Right, so the gods sat down in a line and the demons thereafter. And Mohini started distributing the nectar. Now the idea was to finish up the nectar, or the Amrit, before it reaches the demons. But there was a demon called Swarabhanu, who was obviously quite a smart one. And he figured out that there's something fishy, that the demons are being tricked. So while Mohini was distributing the Amrit, he just quickly sneaked in and sat between the sun and the moon. Okay, and the nectar was getting distributed, and Swarbhanu also happened to take the nectar. But while this happened, sun and moon could figure out that there's a demon between them, and he had consumed some nectar. So they went and complained to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu, using his Sudarshan Chakra, cut off the throat of the demon, of Swarabhanu. Right, so Swarabhanu was cut into two pieces, the head was off and the rest of the body fell off here. So what happened? The nectar was already consumed by him. The nectar stayed here. The upper part, the head portion, the head was called Rahu, and the rest of the body was called Ketu. Okay. Now nothing happened. Ketu is considered lifeless. Rahu is considered a form of Maya because he had consumed nectar. And Rahu obviously was unhappy, and since that day onwards, Rahu and Ketu take sun and moon as their enemies. So when we study astrology, the eclipses also happen, because of Rahu. Right, so the placement of Rahu and Ketu along with the luminaries, that is the sun and the moon, is not considered good because there's an enmity there. Right, so that's the story of Rahu and Ketu. That's how Rahu and Ketu came into existence. Rahu is all about wish fulfillment. Rahu is all about desire. Rahu wants to, the head which has the nectar wants to live, wants to experience the world, wants to see the material world, right? It has desire, it has a head, it can think. And Ketu, the lifeless body below, is all about detachment. It got detached from the head, so it's all about detachment. It's about leaving things behind, right? So while Rahu is all about material, Ketu is all about the non-material or the spiritual stuff. But again, though they are opposites, even when we see astronomically, Rahu and Ketu are 180 degrees apart, right? If Rahu is in the first house, Ketu will be in the seventh. If Rahu will be in the fifth house, Ketu will go to 11th. They'll be exactly 180 degrees opposite to each other. But they still complement each other, because Rahu tells us what to go for and Ketu tells us what to leave behind. Rahu is the existence, why Rahu is the reason of existence. It's the very reason why we have taken birth, why we are in this human form and why do we experience certain things. Rahu tells us where is our area of growth, where would we grow, right? What should we learn? Where can we expand? It's expansion. While as Ketu shows us dead ends, what cannot be, what you've already experienced, right? So Rahu and Ketu, though being opposite energies, are again complementary, right? So they complement each other. And that's why studying the placement of Rahu and Ketu is very, very important in a chart. In fact, the first few things which I see in a chart is Rahu and Ketu. Okay? Apart from seeing the ascendant, the moon, Rahu and Ketu is what one should see to study the chart, to study where the person is going to grow. So more about it in the subsequent videos, where I shall be talking about Rahu separately. What does Rahu mean in your chart? What does Ketu mean in your chart? And the placements they come up with. Right? So more in subsequent videos. Do keep watching and do not forget to subscribe and share the video with those who would like to hear it. Yeah. So thank you so much and God bless.